Oh, hello. This is the Oh Hello podcast with me, John Whalen, Isaac, and Colin. Today we'll be talking about yep, top five college football coaches of all time. Last episode we talked about top five current college football coaches, and today we'll be talking about all time. So please give us 5 stars on Spotify. It helps us get pushed out really well. Please, if you see this on YouTube, please like the video if you like what you hear and see today. I'm going to start out by saying I will be doing this episode a little bit differently. I did not prepare for this episode. I'm going to take a step back this episode. I'm going to be a little different, and for future episodes, for right now, I will not be a part of for a couple of weeks. Um, Mainly because I am in the Marine Corps transitioning out. By Tuesday, I'll be completely out of the Marine Corps, looking for a job, settling in, and getting back to normal. I love this podcast with all my heart. I love the Oh Hello brand with all my heart. With everything going on, I can just not have it as the main focus as it deserves to be right now. Um, I thank everybody that's supporting right now. I thank everybody that's going to support. The podcast will still go on though with Colin and Isaac. I believe they're going to do really good job off each other. I'm more than confident that it will transition very smoothly. Will it be the same without the trio? Probably not, but I know it's still going to be very good and very run very smoothly. Both really great guys that know a lot of ball knowledge, and I think they can bounce off really well off each other. And that's one reason I decided to take a step back this episode and not do my top five this episode, just so they could have the opportunity to bounce back off each other with me in here this episode. And I'm also only running off a couple hours of sleep during this process. With that being said, Isaac, go ahead and give us your number five.
Yeah, so a couple of honorable mentions. I got Lou Holtz, Pop Warner, and Urban Meyer as my three honorable mentions. And then going into it, I have as my first head coach. Bosch is gonna like this one. Woody Hayes from Ohio State. Great tenure, and you can shake your head at that, Bosch. But the stuff that he did at Ohio State was legit,
Too low.
especially too low. Okay,
Yeah, too
we'll
low.
see how the rest of this top five shakes up. But I believe 13 Big Ten titles. Was it three national championships, Bosch, that he won at Ohio State? Five. Yeah. Because three of them, I believe, were consensus. Two of them were not, I believe, because this was way back in the day. This was before BCS. But you're an Ohio State fan, so you'll pledge five. But I'll go off consensus. Did great things for the Ohio State dynasty, and I have him at five.
At my number five, I have Bobby Bowden, and I wanted to save a little bit of Woody Hayes discussion, but I got Bobby Bowden there at number five. He's a little bit different than the rest of my list. He's got less national championships with the two in the 90s for Florida State, but he was a mainstay at Florida State, very consistent, a consistent winner year in and year out, and he did it over such a long period of time. I left off guys like Joe Paterno and Urban Meyer personally. I certainly think that there's a little bit of a tainted image with Joe Paterno now that might be impacting that a little bit, but I also thought the heights that he had reached wasn't as good as some of these other guys. So Bobby Bowden, that's my number two. Bud Wilkinson is also another honorable mention. I didn't include that because of the era and the context of the dominance that he had in the short period too.
Yeah, I was really surprised to see Woody Hayes go off the board that early.
Yeah,
That's
man.
that's
For my number four, just like you said, Bosch, I hold Bobby Bowden a little bit higher than Woody Hayes. And I understand that it was for a shorter amount of time, in which Bobby Bowden did it, but whenever he was at the top, Bobby Bowden was dominating the sport. Which I really take into account, and I got Bobby Bowden at my four.
I mean, like I said, we could compare, there's going to be a lot of guys because I do not have Woody Hayes off the board yet. I got Fielding Yost at number 4. He really sparked the Michigan football program, won 6 national championships there. He made him a national powerhouse, and as much credit as people want to give guys like Bo Schembechler and Lloyd Carr, the granddaddy of it all was Fielding Yost. And Michigan is really known now for the brand that they are because of him and his dominant era, 6 national championships. If I didn't say that already, maybe one of his most famous team was the Benny to Benny connection. I don't know if you Michigan fans out there, you know what I'm talking about. So, yeah, Fielding Yost, number 4.
Look, man, I was looking at Michigan head coaches. I don't have a Michigan head coach in the top 5. I will say I was getting and if I was going to include, I would either put Fieldings or I would put Bo Schembechler. I just like Bo Schembechler better. Like I get it. Fielding kind of set the foundation for that. But Bo Schembechler, him and Woody Hayes, bro, like that was a rivalry that you know was ridiculous.
Bo never won a national championship is the thing, and that's always going to be the blemish that kind of keeps him off of a lot of lists. And I think that Michigan was still in a position where they could have. They just didn't. I mean, there's a reason why he threw a little fit when they tied against Ohio State, and Ohio State got sent to the Rose Bowl instead of them in 1973 when they tied. I don't know. There's a big difference with national championships.
I will say that once I was kind of looking at the two, I was surprised. Bo Schembechler's win percentage is unreal at Michigan, and to never win a national championship is kind of crazy to me. But at my number 3, I have Tom Osborne from Nebraska. If you want to talk about domination when Nebraska was at their peak, three national championships. Fun fact for you: Tom Osborne never had a season where he had less than 9 wins, which is crazy. I believe he currently holds the all-time win total with 409 wins at the Division One level. Just unreal stuff. So no,
That's
that's
Joe
Joe Paterno.
Paterno.
That's
Yeah.
Joe Paterno. Yeah, but unreal stuff from Tom Osborne. Complete domination. He had 13 Big 8 titles. Yeah, he just dominated at Nebraska.
I mean, hey, you're convincing me a little bit. Maybe I'm overlooking Tom Osborne a little bit. He's a legendary coach, great coach, and dominated through the 80s and the 90s.
I mean, and he also established Nebraska as a blue blood of the
Yeah,
sport.
yeah.
So, I
I
mean,
don't
yeah,
know. Now I'm kind of regretting leaving him off my list. Not gonna lie.
I think he's definitely better than Bobby Bowden for sure.
Yeah, maybe. At number 3, and this top 3 was really tough. But I'm gonna go with Bear Bryant at number 3. Bear Bryant, one of the greatest to ever do it. He wins 6 national championships at Alabama. The longevity that he was doing the sport at Maryland, A&M, Kentucky, and Alabama, definitely incredible. Where I kind of knock him down a little bit compared to other guys is the year in, year out consistency. He did it for a really long time at Alabama, and the consistency was not always there. They always had a year here and there where they were kind of down, and that's the biggest reason why is sustainability through 30 years, or I think it was like 20 years at Alabama. It was pretty good, but it wasn't nearly as sustained as what my top 2 were able to do.
and I'm gonna heavily disagree with you there. I know you probably have Woody Hayes over Paul Bear Bryant, but
Definitely.
I Bear Bryant. I mean, I feel a lot of people forget that at Alabama. Yes, Nick Saban did have his dynasty at Alabama, but Alabama, as you know, most winningest program in the history of the sport. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to national championships, was established by Bear Bryant. Like that was their guy, and I think that what he did for the University of Alabama kind of steamrolled ultimately into the program that we know today, which is one of the most dominating programs in the Division One sport. So I mean, I do have Bear Bryant at my number two. Six national championships speaks for itself. The previous holder of the most wins in the Division One at 323, before Joe Paterno broke that. It's hard for me to put anybody over these next two, including Bear Bryant.
How many more years did Joe Paterno coach longer than Bear Bryant?
Yes, Joe. I believe Bear Bryant coached for I think 20 to 23 somewhere in there, and then Joe Paterno he coached for a long time, like
Yeah.
27 years,
It was
28
Um,
actually
years.
without take the scandals away, he was there for too long.
So I didn't put Joe Paterno on my list because of the scandals. I really do feel like it just kind of taints his career as a whole. And that's really why I didn't put him on my top five. I mean, if we're looking at resumes, then absolutely. But the Sandusky scandal was it was a lot. It was a lot.
And I
so
mean,
Bear Bryant was a head coach in college football for 37 years.
37. Yep. Okay. Because I forget his stunt or his tenure at Alabama was like 18 to 20ish years, and then like you said, he had that stunt at Kentucky, A&M, all that. Yeah. Okay, I forget about that. Hey, fun fact for you though. John Whalen knows this one because I tell it to him all the time. Do you know the only coach who is undefeated against Bear Bryant? General Nealon of
I
the
was about to
University
say,
of
is it
Tennessee.
General Nealon?
Yep, never lost to Paul Bear Bryant. So
Hmm.
that's definitely a top 5 SEC coach of all time, though, I would say.
Well, now top five in
SEC
the
coach for
sport.
sure. Not
I
top five in the sport. I love General Nealon. Obviously, we have Neyland Stadium, but he's not top five all time in the sport. In SEC, 100%, yes, but all time in the sport now.
Well, at number two, I do have Wayne Woodrow Hayes. Woody Hayes, legend in Columbus. There's a statue here. There's an athletic facility here in one of the most storied programs in college football. And one of the reasons why they're one of the most storied programs is because of Woody Hayes. This guy not only brought life to the Ohio State football program when the Ohio State football program was seemingly dead, he also brought life to the greatest rivalry, and not just college football, all of sports. And the thing about it is, what makes it so weird, the SEC fans out there don't understand this rivalry to the point where they think that Alabama and Auburn's in the same stratosphere. It's not. It's just not. This is life. This is a way of life. This is every day. You guys don't know what that's like. The hate runs deep, and it really enhanced under Woody Hayes. 5 national championships, like I previously mentioned, had some really good teams. The 1968 team, the 1954 story was really great. Probably should have been able to claim a national championship in 1973. So if you got any questions about any of the other national championships he has, well, I
I
say
believe I believe
1970.
I believe the two the two claimed that it is I think 1951 and 1973. Don't quote me on that. But I think that
It's not.
those two it's not.
Or unclaimed. Well, not 51. I definitely know 51 we didn't have a case, but 73 I think is unclaimed, but we had justification to claim it,
Yeah.
which sucks because my uncle was on that team. So he didn't win a national championship. It's okay though. I'll survive. Yeah, I think that just being the most important figure in the history of the sport at a program like Ohio State, who since that era has been one of the best programs and one of the most consistent programs in the country, I think it's worth being up in number two.
Look, man, here's my thing. I kind of want to go back to the Ohio State Michigan rivalry because you started talking about the Alabama Auburn rivalry, and every single time these two rivalries we got to get into it a little bit. Obviously, as an SEC fan, I know that the Michigan Ohio State rivalry is bigger. I do think that that is the number one rivalry in college sports, and maybe even in all of sports. But to say that it's not in the same stratosphere, I feel is disrespectful. Like,
It's not even
uh,
close.
okay, it's a lot closer in your brain just because or it's a lot closer than what it is in your brain, Bosch, because you are involved in that rivalry. But as a fan of, Tennessee, I hate all of you equally. You know what I'm saying? Watching Auburn and Alabama fans that week of that rivalry, I feel like Big Ten fans don't really understand it, just like a lot of SEC fans don't really understand Michigan and Ohio State. Um, these two teams, especially whenever you're involved around the conversation on a regular basis, like I am, because like I said, I'm an SEC guy. These two teams hate each other. Like they hate each other, especially Auburn fans. I'll say Alabama fans don't hate Auburn fans as much as Auburn fans hate Alabama fans because like kind of like what Whalen was saying in earlier episodes. Alabama lives rent free in Auburn's head. Like they hire their coaches based off of what success they've had against Alabama. Like and I don't want to throw shots or anything, but I don't see a lot of Michigan or Ohio State, coaches being hired based off of the success with previous teams that they have against the rival school. You know what I'm saying? Like
So
Alex Golesh, for example, he was hired by Auburn because in 2022 he beat Alabama as an OC and hung 52 on their head. Like, let's
And a
be for
big
real.
mistake too. John,
so
Exactly.
chime in here.
I have been taking a step back this episode, but I would like to speak on this specifically. Alabama Auburn. Auburn does live rent free in Alabama's head. I mean, whoa, I said that backwards. Cut that. Auburn, wait, oh, I'm all messed up. Alabama lives rent free in Auburn's head. There we go. Working on 2 hours of sleep here. But anyway, what I will say about the rivalry itself is through the years, we've seen this game be close no matter what. You last year's a good example. You can argue, yeah, Alabama was on the fall off, but Alabama was so much better than Auburn. It wasn't even close. And they played us good, and they could have beat us. But what I will say about this rivalry is it goes deep. And with most of the fans being in the state of Alabama, Auburn made state of Auburn shirts one time. Weird, right? They're weird. Anyway, with most of the rivalry being in the state of Alabama, you are going to the store with the opposite fans. This game's played around Thanksgiving. You're not talking to your family around Thanksgiving because of this rivalry. Like you are literally in the state together and you hate each other. But I'll say this, it goes deep. The rivalry goes deeper than football. Basketball. Alabama basketball is on the rise, and we've seen Alabama basketball do things I never would dream of. You know why that is? Bruce Pearl. Who went to the Final Four first? Bruce Pearl or Nate Oates? Why did Nate Oates get hired? Because Auburn went to the Final Four. It's it's a bounce back off each other. Coaches are literally getting hired based off the success. I can say as a Alabama fan, our fans for years had seen success with many multiple sports. But until Auburn became successful in basketball, they refused to be successful. And then football. Let's look at their coaches hires. Gus Malzahn. I think he was a great fit for Auburn, and I don't think he was a terrible coach. But let's look. He was on the hot seat a couple times. I can't remember the exact year it was, but it was the year it was. I remember the quarterback. It was Jarrett Stidham.
2017.
2017, yeah.
I thought they did it in 2019 too, but
2019 was Bo Nix.
2019, yeah.
but they didn't beat Georgia in 2019 though, did they?
What?
They beat Georgia in 2019.
They beat you guys in 2019.
Okay, so 2017, Gus Malzahn was on the hot seat. He beat Auburn's two biggest rivals, Georgia and Alabama, and that's what kept him his job. Okay, it finally doesn't work out with Gus. Do you know who they hire? Hugh Freeze. Why did they hire Hugh Freeze? Because he beat Alabama back-to-back years at Ole Miss. He didn't deserve to be in that Auburn job. He was not can't believe I'm gonna say this, but he wasn't qualified for the job, honestly. Hugh Freeze is not that great. Uh, and then they go out and hire Alex Golesh. Why did they hire Alex Golesh? What did he do when he came into Tennessee? He ended the streak on the third Saturday of October. They hire coaches that beat Alabama, that got this rhythm of beating Alabama, I guess. Which things are about to change because beating Kalen DeBoer is still a big deal, but it's not as big of a deal as beating Nick Saban. I mean, let's be real. But he hired they hired Golesh because he has beaten Alabama, and the games he gave it, the hard games he gave against Alabama at USF, they hire their coaches like this. But man, you've heard the stories: poison the trees, Cam Newton jersey on Bear Bryant statue. I mean, it just they're crazy, dude. It's a bunch of crazy rednecks that will do anything to hurt each other.
Yeah, having crazy rednecks is not a prerequisite for the most crazy, best college football rivalry. You know what's kind of evidence of this? A successful coach in John Cooper got fired simply because he couldn't beat Michigan. They went with an Ohio guy in Jim Tressel. They went with the guy who they knew understood the rivalry. It's Ohio State. They could have went and got anybody, but they decided to go with the Youngstown State head coach in Jim Tressel. Interesting. Why did they do that? Oh yeah, because they had confidence that he could win the game. Not to mention too, when Jim Harbaugh was in the hot seat, he had to start the biggest on-field scandal just because he needed to beat Ohio State. The biggest on-field scandal you've ever seen. Period. So they literally started to cheat, started to have a CIA operation over here just to try to beat Ohio State. And you're going to tell me that Auburn, because their fans go and poison, or Alabama fans go and poison trees, Auburn fans put Cam Newton jerseys on Bear Bryant statues. Man, that's we're talking about what actually happens between the lines. We've seen all of the fights in the world. I mean, you want to start with just what happened in 2024 at the Block O in the shoe?
Well,
You guys remember that, right? You
I'll
guys
say
remember? I
this,
don't think I've
Colin.
ever seen anything like that.
Hold on. Well, I'll say this. I think it's two different kinds of hate, and it's not that one's worse than the other. It's just two different kinds. Ohio State and Michigan is it's more of a complex hatred. It's not as so much as we hate you because we're in the same state, because you're not. It's these two teams have gone through eras of domination. They've genuinely, both of these two teams have ruled over the Big Ten. You know what I'm saying? Uh, so I think it's more of a hatred of this is the pinnacle of Big Ten football. Whoever wins this game is the top. You are the best. You know what I'm saying? Whereas Auburn and Alabama, let me shoot you off a statistic here, Colin. Okay, do you know how many players in the game of Iron Bowl this year were from the state of Alabama?
Probably most of them.
So I believe Auburn had 47 players on their roster from the state of Alabama, and I believe Alabama had 42 players from on their roster from the state of Alabama, which means these kids are playing each other in high school, bro. Like this is the game that they grew up with and they know their entire life. They're from the state, and whenever you're raised in the state of Alabama, you're either an Alabama fan or you're an Auburn fan. You know what I'm saying? So like it's like a hatred that you were taught and you've grown up in
You're only an
since
Auburn
you were
fan if
like
you want to be
5 years
different.
old.
Okay, well the problem is you
The
know
evidence is out there on the
don't
field, though. The
oh,
success, Alabama and Auburn, like Alabama carries the weight when we talk about success here. It's not the same weight as Ohio State, Michigan. Alabama can compete with both programs, but unfortunately, when you compare the two, Ohio State, Michigan's going to outdo Alabama and Auburn because Auburn just sucks. But that's beside the point. But you look at it, and the proof's in the games, man. I mean, look at and I'm not taking anything away from the game when I say this at all. But to discredit the rival because of what goes on behind the line of scrimmage is insane because the kick six, 4th and 31 in recent memory, the 4 overtime game with Bryce Young. Like the proof's in the games, and those Auburn teams of recent, where Alabama's had to go into Jordan Hare and work some magic out. Luckily, their last 3 times we win, it worked out in our favor. But, the proof's in the game. These Auburn teams are not as good as these Alabama teams. These Ohio State, Michigan teams, most of the time, we're seeing the winner go on to compete for a Big Ten championship and a national championship.
I mean, you
Now,
must not remember 2013.
now,
You must not
2013.
remember 2014. These games were close. They were competitive. Like it took a 2-point conversion pick by Von Bell for us to survive against a bad Michigan team in 2013.
No, I told you I wasn't discrediting what goes on behind the line of scrimmage for Michigan and Ohio State. I just think when you say what happens in the game matters, you see it in the game with Alabama and Auburn too. And the difference between Michigan, Ohio State, and Alabama and Auburn is Auburn's not. There was the kick six year. That's the only year that it was even close to a Michigan Ohio State game in the sense of
how
what was on the line even more than the rivalry.
20 the kick six game was, but so was the scam Newton game, whatever the
well,
think
Cam
I think
Newton,
what I
we
think
had
what we're
already
trying
lost
to
2
say.
games, and that was the BCS.
Doesn't matter. They were
Well,
still really good, and like Auburn was a win and in the playoff in 2017, and
Yes.
you both had been eliminated from the playoff contention in 2019. So these years that Auburn won, it's not like Auburn was much worse than Alabama when they actually won the game.
No,
Well,
but
and
the same
I'll
thing
say
goes with.
I'll
Do you
say
think?
this. I think
Do you
I
not
think
remember
that
2 years ago?
well to
But what I'm
John's
saying
point,
is,
the thing is we saw 2024 Ohio State loses to Michigan. They make it to the playoffs and end up winning a national championship. We haven't seen that with Alabama and Ohio or
Yes, we
Alabama and
have.
Auburn.
We saw it in 2017.
Hold on.
That
We
happened
saw,
well before. That happened in the 4-team era.
okay. So they lost one game in 2017 to Auburn, made it to a national championship and won.
Yes.
Okay.
yeah,
Well,
we beat
I'll
Georgia.
say this. I think that discrediting and saying that it's not even in the same stratosphere is kind of ridiculous. I think that it's up there. It's one of the pinnacles of college football as a rivalry. I'm not arguing that Michigan and Ohio State isn't a bigger rival because I do think it is, Bosch. But to say it's not even in the same stratosphere, and it's a clear and definite, huge proportionate gap between those rivalries is just disrespectful, bro. Like it just because it's not up
Yeah.
there to
Let
you.
me close the argument with this, right? The horseshoe was built because of the success that they had against Michigan after losing to them and breaking that streak. The 1950 Snow Bowl is one of the most iconic games that was not televised. And the folk stories there are crazy. The 10-year war is unlike anything we've ever seen, with the 50-14 going for 2. And why did Woody say he went for 2? Because they wouldn't let me go for 3. And then Bo Schembechler the year later upsetting maybe the best Ohio State football team of all time, at the very least under Woody Hayes. That really sparked the 10-year war. And the history since then, don't want to dive too deep into it because, again, just closing argument, the upsets that have happened, the coaches getting fired because of lack of success against Ohio State, it led to the end of both John Cooper on the Ohio State side, Lloyd Carr on the Michigan side. That is why I believe Ohio State-Michigan is best rivalry in not just college football, but sports.
So I'll end with my closing argument then. No, I'm not arguing which is a bigger rivalry, Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, Auburn. I'm not arguing what the greatest rivalry is. I'm just saying I just felt like you were discrediting the Iron Bowl, and it doesn't deserve to be discredited. It's because at the end of the day, you take somebody like Isaac at big noon, he's going to watch the Ohio State Michigan game, he's probably going to watch the Vanderbilt game at like 3:30 timeline slot, and then watch the Iron Bowl right after that at the prime time at night. And not saying discrediting the game, but it's always going to be a noon game. We both know that. That's not even an argument to be had. Until TV schedules change, it's going to be a noon game. And
So does that make it worse?
no, I'm not saying
Well,
it's
no,
worse.
no.
I'm just when I say
I
prime
see where
time,
John
I'm not
Whalen. I see where
discrediting.
he's coming from because here's the thing: could you imagine Michigan and Ohio State at night in the big house or in the shoe? That
I
would
mean,
be.
it's
I would.
happened.
It hasn't happened in a while. I can't remember the last time it's happened.
2006.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
and the
It's been a
reason I
while.
use Isaac, as an example is because, like I said, it's going to be 11 o'clock, big noon, Ohio State, Michigan. Everybody in the country is going to watch that. Isaac's a Tennessee fan, and then he'll watch his Tennessee Vanderbilt game, and then later that night he'll watch the Alabama and Auburn game because these rivalries are that big that everybody in the country is going to watch the game, and everybody in the country is going to watch the Iron Bowl. And I promise you this, whether the Ohio State game and Michigan game ever gets played at night again or not, they're never going to put it on the same time schedule as the Iron Bowl. Those games will be played at 2 different times.
Sure, but
And my
I'm fine
closing
with that
argument.
because I do like watching both.
My
That's what I'm
closing
saying. Everybody in the
argument to
country
it.
does. You can't discredit one rivalry.
My closing argument to it is yes, Ohio State and Michigan, the greatest rivalry in college sports. I don't think it's on the same. I don't think it's on different stratospheres than the Iron Bowl. I would probably put both of those in S tier, and those are the two rivalries alone that are in S tier. Then you obviously have your A tier with the Texas or the Red River Shootout, the Holy War, the third Saturday in October, those sorts of rivalries. But I don't think I think it's unfair to say it's on the same or on different stratospheres because of the fact that yes, Michigan and Ohio State have I would say have more of a history and have more of a complex hatred. But whenever you're looking at like Alabama versus Auburn, I would say, at least in recent memory, um, the iconic moments and things along those lines, I would say the Iron Bowl has a little bit more of. And that's not to say that the Michigan and Ohio State games haven't been good because they've been really good. Let's be honest. In 2024, Michigan had n- like no business beating Ohio State that year, but they did. And I think that's to go hand in hand with Alabama. Like, there's been years where Auburn's beaten Alabama that we've thought to ourselves, okay, Alabama clearly had the better team, but Auburn just beat them. So, I mean, I wouldn't say that they're on different stratospheres, but yes, I do think Michigan versus Ohio State is a superior. But yeah,
Well,
go.
after all that arguing, we can make John blush.
Yeah, because
Huh?
I don't know, Colin, you right here. So we're gonna say our number one on three, okay? 1, 2, 3. Nick Saban.
He froze right at 3. There's no
Did I
way.
freeze?
Nick Saban. Oh my
Nick
gosh.
Saban, yeah,
Yes.
Nick Saban, bro. It's Nick Saban. Six national titles, one at LSU, 5 at Alabama. We're probably never gonna see a coach in college football quite as dominant as Nick Saban again. And I hate to say that being a Tennessee fan because part of me loves Nick Saban, but part of me absolutely can't stand that man. Yeah, it's just ridiculous the talent that he was able to recruit and the championships that he was able to win. And one of the biggest what ifs was if Nick Saban started that dynasty and started the championship winning culture at Michigan State instead of LSU. But I'm gonna let you go ahead, Colin.
Wow.
I
See,
think
that's how bad Michigan State sucks. Even Nick Saban couldn't win.
so. I'm a Nick Saban enthusiast, I guess you could say. I've read 2 books in high school. My whole high school career, I read 2 books. Truly read from front to back. That was Paul Feinbaum book and the Nick Saban book. And I read his biography. And, I think he had a couple what ifs in his career because a lot of people don't know this about Nick Saban, but his dream was not to be the greatest college football coach of all time. His dream was to be a successful NFL coach. And he tried that at the Miami Dolphins. And me being a Miami Dolphins fan can tell you, I think Nick Saban, the biggest what ifs is at Miami because if you look into that Drew Brees situation when Nick Saban was there, he wanted Drew Brees. And this is going to go way, way, way too deep into too many rabbit holes I don't want to chase. But Drew Brees goes to Miami under Nick Saban. What does that do to Miami Dolphins football? What does that do to Nick Saban? And if he never takes the Miami job, he stays at LSU. And let's not forget, after kick six, and it said it in the book, so I know it's true. It came out of Nick Saban's mouth when he was telling his Arthur what to write. He almost took the Texas job after kick six. Those were not rumors, just rumors. Those were very true. This is what went through Nick Saban's head. I could be the first coach to win a national championship at 3 different programs, and he almost took the Texas job. So there's a lot of what ifs in the Nick Saban story. As an Alabama fan, it does it suck as a Miami Dolphins fan? Yeah, but then we've been getting hurt 7 years before Saban and 20 years after. But, you know, as an Alabama fan, I'm glad the story worked out the way it worked. I like college football better than NFL. I can honestly say I'm a bigger Alabama fan than Miami Dolphins fan. Some people may be bigger. You like one team more than the other, your pro team or your college team. That's just the way it is.
Yep.
I don't care who you are. But yeah, I'm glad Nick Saban worked out the way it did. And, I was probably on suicide watch when he retired.
Well, I know we don't get monetized, but surely not monetized now. Yeah, Nick Saban's the best to ever do it. Not only was he able to win national championships in multiple different schools, he was really successful at Michigan State too. All jokes about that aside, he really had the best dynasty in the sport, and it was across multiple groups of players and multiple groups of coaches. And I think that's the most impressive part. Yeah, 6 national championships at Alabama, 1 at LSU. Vols, you did mention 5. I'm kind of glad you did that because that 2017 crown goes to UCF, not Alabama. Let's just be clear. Okay.
No. He
So,
only won 5. He only won 5 national championships he really did. Only 5 at
no,
Bama.
man, no.
It was
2009.
6.
Yep,
No.
2009, 11, 12, 15,
It,
17, 20.
shoot. Then yeah,
Because
he
he's
won
got
7
7.
national I forgot. Yeah, okay, my bad.
In 2020,
He's
he
the
passed
all-time
Bear
leader.
Bryant.
Yeah.
He passed Bear Bryant in 2020.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
you're
Yeah.
welcome for that, by the way, because
Yeah,
we
you
gave
saved
that to
me.
you on a silver platter.
Yeah,
Having
no,
I'm talking to John. We gave him 2020 on a silver platter by putting Tough Borland on Devontae Smith.
Look,
oh man, hush, bro.
to get into
Yeah.
that for a minute, that 2020 season. First of all, I want to say before we get off the Nick Saban thing, he also has a MAC title, by the way, at Toledo.
Yeah.
He went 9-3 of his long season at Toledo. I think what really changed his career is coaching with Bill Belichick in Cleveland. But anyway, go to the 2020 year. I'm sorry. That national championship that was earned by Alabama. And if any SEC team would have won the national championship that year, it would have been earned. Now, this is not the debate that you love to have. Which conference is better, SEC, Big Ten debate. It's not that debate. But the SEC played 10 games in 2020, and they were
It was tougher in 2020. That's not a debate.
I don't think Ohio State should have been there. They went to the playoffs at like 6-0.
Yeah, I don't really care because you're blaming the players for administrative issues. You
No.
can't do that.
I'm not blaming the players. I mean,
Yeah, I mean
listen,
that's what you're doing when you're saying
I
they
think
shouldn't have been there.
I think they should have been there, dude. If you look back at that Ohio State team, everyone that they played, they dominated, bro. Am I correct when saying that Michigan came too in 2020 was like it was bad. Like, yeah,
No, they didn't play them in 2020. They decided
yeah,
to be.
yes,
They were
yes,
scared
I
to play
remember
us. I
that.
mean,
Yeah,
maybe that's your argument for Alabama Auburn is yeah, well we're not scared to play each other because Michigan was surely scared to play Ohio State. We'd never be scared to play those punks. Just saying.
No, but like Ohio
But
State definitely should have been there. They dominated everybody they played. They won Big Ten, and I mean, like, yeah, even they put up a decent fight against Alabama at least in the first half, and you know, but that
Uh-oh.
that that team
Uh-oh.
was that team was that team was good. It was, but 2020 Alabama was just
and that
ridiculous.
2020 Iron Bowl wasn't a bad game. That 2020 Iron Bowl was a pretty good game until it wasn't.
Till
Yeah,
it wasn't.
until it wasn't.
That's a lot of Auburn, Alabama games in Bryant Denny, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Very
It's
much
not.
so.
It's usually closer, but that 2020 team, there wasn't nobody. Nobody even came close to that 2020 team. I still, and this is an argument I'll die on, and nobody will agree with me on it. I think that 2019 team was a little bit more talented than the 2020 team. Loss to LSU, you can excuse because everybody considers that 2019, and you can look at that game, that LSU Alabama game from that year. It was insane, but you can't go and lose to Auburn. And we would have had a good argument for the playoffs, but you can't lose to Auburn. But that's a story for a different day.
Well, that's a wrap for me, so I think I'm good.
All right, I'll wrap it up then. One last time for the next couple of weeks. Thank y'all for watching today. Uh, Please leave 5 stars on Spotify. It helps push us out against other pod sports podcasts and other podcasts like us. Please give us our likes on YouTube and subscribe. Um, the YouTube thing for the ones that do watch us on YouTube, I think we've worked out something for it to work out better for us. I have been struggling with it, sometimes uploading a day late. Um, so just thank you all for being patient with that. Also, make sure you follow our social medias. The Oh Hello Sports Podcast is on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. And also, we got really good individual content, which I'm taking a break from individual content as well. But my individual content is John Wayland Hollis on TikTok. You got Boss CFB on TikTok, and then he's got the Boss CFB show where he does by himself on YouTube. And then Isaac's got the Balls by 50 Network on TikTok. I would just like to say thank y'all for supporting. Um, I like. I hope y'all continue to support these two. I will be back very soon. This is something out of my control in my life that I'm having to do. I didn't know it would come this soon, transitioning out of the Marine Corps. But once I get a job, which I already have lined up, I plan on being back and having this as my top priorities. And that's one reason I'm stepping back, is I just couldn't hold it as one of my top priorities anymore. But I appreciate all the support I've got. And um, when I first started doing content on TikTok, it was just a thought, and then I started doing content on TikTok, and I blew up, and then I had this dream of doing this podcast, and I wanted to get it started by the end of this year. And we're in May, and we already got a few episodes out. And I know Colin and Isaac, they're going to do good continuing this. And I love the whole Oh Hello brand, and I love doing this. And just thank y'all for taking the time to listen to me and supporting me. And I hope y'all continue to support me through this. With that being said, toodles.
Oh, bye.